Hello everyone, my name is Cypress and I made this guide to help you understand Survival Hunter PvP. Let's get right into it because we have a lot of things to cover. I'm going to start with the spells, then go into the rotation talents, PvP talents, and artifact weapon. Let's start with the spells. The first spell we're gonna see is called Flanking Strike. Basically, it's a coordinated attack that you and your pet do. It costs 50 focus and it's on a 5.69 second cooldown. That's pretty important later on. So if the target is attacking you, your pet is gonna deal 50% more damage. If the target is not attacking you, you're gonna deal 50% more damage. But it's not your main ability, so don't worry about it too much. Next, let's go into Lacerate. Lacerate is just a bleeding debuff that you put on the target, and the target bleeds over 12 seconds. Raptor Strike is like Heroic Strike. It's like a filler that you're gonna use not very often. And let's go to the main spell that you're gonna use all the time, every single second that you can, is Mongoose Bite, which deals pretty moderate damage to a target, but it gives you a buff. It's called Mongoose Fury. Increases the damage of your next Mongoose Bite by 50% for 12 seconds. It stacks to 6 times, but the duration is not increased, so you gotta be pretty fast with it. Also, you have Carve, which is your AoE, and this ability you're gonna use every time you have like around 5 or more targets. Don't use it otherwise because it costs 40 focus. And you have pretty good AoE as a hunter anyway. I'm gonna show you in a second. And that's Explosive Trap, which is on 12-second cooldown, and that's with talents we're gonna cover later on, which deals AoE, but when you spec into it, it does also single target damage. And then also similar thing, but it's not. It's actually like a bomb, and what I call a bomb is not a trap, because trap is put on the ground like this, and bomb, it sticks to the target like that. Deals pretty high amount of damage, and also spreads and reduces movement speed. So it's amazing talent to have. And your damage is gonna be aspect of the Eagle, which causes your unit pet to have increased critical strike chance, but more importantly, gain Mongoose charges, which is super important. So that's, besides the artifact weapon, that's your kind of like the main spells you're gonna use all the time. And later we're gonna also cover the artifact weapon. But let's get into some kind of utilities that you're gonna have as a survival hunter. This is probably the saddest. It makes me just sad looking at it. It's called Aspect of the Cheetah, and increases your movement speed by 90% for 3 seconds. But it doesn't break any kind of like movement impeding effects, and it's on 2.4 minute cooldown. Blizz, come on, man. 2.4 minutes, come on. Next one is Aspect of the Turtle, which deflects all attacks and reduces all damage you take by 30% for 8 seconds, which is cool. But you cannot attack, so kind of pop it when you have nothing else. So that's your pets over here. We cover Carve and Exhilaration. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right because I have an accent, but it's like a heal for 30% of your health and heals your pet for 100%. But it's on a 2-minute cooldown, which is also pretty much a joke. Another talent you're going to be using quite often is Feign Death, and there is a lot of tricks that you can learn with this talent that is going to make you a pretty good hunter. Flare is another ability. You always have this as a hunter. You just put a flare on the ground and you can see visible enemies. It's good versus rogues, druid, anything that can stealth. You can get him out of stealth. That's your artifact. Weapon is called Fury of the Eagle. Let's get it covered anyway. So Fury of the Eagle basically does increase damage by how many stacks of Mongoose Fury you have. So as soon as you get Mongoose Fury buff on you by doing one Mongoose bite, this is gonna light up and tell you that it's usable. You can use it outside, but it's gonna do just this damage. Otherwise, it's increased damage per stack, and you won't use it as at maximum Mongoose Fury stacks of the buff. So that plays a lot into your rotation. It's pretty fun ability to use, and I'm gonna show it to you. Harpoon is your mobility. You harpoon to on an enemy like that, and it teleports you to a target, kinda. And you can spec this to also remove all snares and stuff, but we're gonna cover this later on. Hatchet Toss, never use that ability. I don't like, does no damage. Even if you're at range, like, why would you even use it? I don't know why they put it in the game. Muzzle is your interrupt, preventing any spell that's cool being cast for 3 seconds. It's pretty cool, but it's melee weapon range, so 5 yards. Now, pet utilities are gonna be your basic utilities: summon, dismit, feed your pets. Man pet is pretty important, which heals your pet for 25 of the of his health percentage, and that's team pet. You can also like get different pets and stuff that have different abilities and do different things for you. I'm gonna cover this in a second. Ranger's Net is the talent you get, which is probably the most annoying talent in the game, because you can spam this on a 1 second cooldown if you have focus, and it roots them in one place. Like that, and you can just spam that on multiple enemies, and it's pretty cool. you can be very annoying with this talent. We cover Raptor Strike. Snake Hunter is another talent we're gonna cover, which you're gonna need for sure. Instantly granting you 3 charges of Mongoose Bite. Traps, you have Freezing Trap, which is your main CC. You trap a target in ice, preventing you from doing anything for 5 seconds basically. And then we cover the Explosive Trap, and that Star Trap reduces the speed of all enemies and does some damage if you spec into it. We're gonna cover this as well. And your Mastery as a Survival Hunter, it's kinda interesting, I guess. Your pet attack have 2.9 chance to grant you additional Mongoose Bites, which is super low, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Plus, I don't know if this is correct, but for example, you want to use Cunning Pets versus Ferocity, and Ferocity pets have increased attack speed, and Cunning does not get that. So this is gonna play into it. I don't know how much DPS loss it is, but definitely something I didn't want to see. After you kill target, you heal 15% of your health. That doesn't matter really. So that's about it for all the talents. So now let's go into the rotation. And what is the most important spell that you have is Mongoose Bite, which is this one. You want to be using it all the time. Every single second you can stack Mongoose Bite on the target. That's gonna be your top damage, top everything. You wanna be Mongoose Biting all the time. The second on importance is Lacerate. You wanna be bleeding your target all the time. These two are your top damage. So number one, depending on your uptime, and how much you can keep up with the target if it's not running, is going to be either Mongoose Bite or Lacerate, depending. If they are running, it's going to be Lacerate, if you can apply the dot. If they are not running and you can catch up to them pretty easily, Mongoose Bite is going to be your top damage dealer. After that, it's going to be Dragon's Fire Grenade, and probably Explosive Trap or Flanking Strike. And in between all that is going to be Fury of the Eagle. So it's pretty good. It does a lot of burst, and you can burst. And Survival Hunter does a lot of damage, but it's constant pressure. And the Department Hunter lacks of is not the damage, is not the abilities, is healing and sustaining in a fight. Because you're a melee character, you want to be sitting in the fight all the time. And with 2 minute 30% heal is super low on an extremely long cooldown. Also, the one escape that you have is your Cheetah, which is on 2.4 minute cooldown. It's pretty sad. So your sustain sucks, and we're gonna go into it. Even with the artifact weapon, still sucks. So basically you're very squishy, but you deal pretty good damage. So what do you want to do? You want to go into the fight super fast, do as much damage as possible, and maybe look for an escape after 2 or 3 targets switch to you, because you're gonna be pressuring the heals or the squishies in the opposite team or whatever you're pressuring pretty fast. So how do you start a fight? Basically, most of the time you want to just run into the target. Why? Because if they CC you, you can use Harpoon to break out of their roots, snares, Ice Nova, whatever, and then catch up to them again. So you want to be running into the fight or mounted in, Lacerate right away, Flanking Strike, and then start spamming Mongoose Bites. And I'm going to show you. And then soon as everything is on cooldown, you want to use Dragon's Fire Grenade and Explosive Trap. That's about it. That's the whole thing. So let's go over it again. Either you harpoon in, or best case scenario you walk in, Lacerate, Flanking Strike, start spamming Mongoose Bite so you can recover the focus, and then use your CDs, Dragon's Fire Grenade and Explosive Trap right away. That's your burst. Immediate pressure, and then your burst is gonna come with stacking Mongoose Bite to 6, and then using Fury of the Eagle. That's gonna be your huge burst that you can use, and hopefully by that time, because Dragon's Fire Grenade is on 30 seconds, which is pretty cool. By the time you stack it, you have Dragon's Fire Grenade back. You Dragon's Fire Grenade, huge damage. Target probably is dead by then. Now, like I said, your rotation, the most important thing is Mongoose biting all the time to get the buff. Every time you Mongoose bite, it stacks another 50% on top, so you're doing more and more damage as times go by. Now, given that, let's look at the talents, and I'm going to show you why I spec that way, the way I spec. So, Animal Instincts basically makes your Flanking Strike give you a buff. It's either haste, mastery, which you need. So main stats are going to be, probably mastery is going to be your first stat, followed by versatility because you're squishy as hell, so you want to be sustaining into a fight, so it's going to be versatility, and then probably haste. And also gives you Animal Instinct also gives you increased movement speed, so you can keep up with the target. It's perfect, and you can have, if you're pretty fast and you have a lot of haste, which reduces your cooldown and reduces your global cooldown as well, you can have 2 buffs at the same time. Throwing axes, awful. Never use it. 14 second CD, I don't even know why they put it in the game. I mean, I have no clue. Now we have the mock. We have the mock. I don't know. Whatever. Basically gives you a raptor strike, gives you increased attack power if you stack it up to 4 times. It's good, but you never press raptor strike. You don't have time to press raptor strike. Like I said, you squish. This is PvP. You go into the fight. You want to mongoose bite as much as possible. Raptor strike does not do that much damage. So by the time you actually stack it, you're gonna be dead. Simply, you're gonna be simply dead. You don't have time. You don't have even the focus to raptor strike because your flanking strike costs 50% focus. Oh, I forgot something to say about flanking strike. Gives you increased chance to get mongoose bites as well. So that's pretty cool. So basically triggers your mastery. Doubles your kind of like mastery, which makes it what 6% or something. Like still sad. Do not rely on that ability. I don't know why they put it in the game even, but whatever. That's why I even forgot about it because it's pretty bad. Anyway, where were we? Oh yes, the raptor strike. And the only time you want to use the raptor strike, I'm gonna show it to you in a second, is with the honor talents you get. And you wanna be keeping the debuff you're gonna be getting from your honor talents. Other than that, you don't wanna be spamming raptor strike at all. And let's go to the next tier, which is level 30. Murder of Crows, pretty good, not bad, but yeah, you kind of need mongoose bites because currently with the gear set we have, I don't have a lot of mastery. Although almost all my gear is mastery, just the eye level is low, so I get very low procs. So I pretty much need to spec into this ability Snake Hunter, which gives you 3 charges. So basically you can stack to 6. As soon as you press it, gives you another 3 stacks, so you immediately have 6 stacks of Mongoose Fury, and then you can Fury of the Eagle, Dragon's Fire Grenade, Explosive Trap, Super a lot, huge Super Saiyan damage. Maybe not Super Saiyan, but it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. And let's cover the middle ability, which is Mortal Wounds, which is not too bad, which lacerates, gives you Mongoose Bite procs, but you kind of need Snake Hunter. You need Snake Hunter. Like if you get a lot of mastery from the gear itself, and you proc a lot of your mastery, which basically your pet gives you Mongoose charges, Mongoose Bite charges, you're not gonna need Snake Hunter, maybe in the future, but for now you need Snake Hunter for sure. Let's go to the next tier, Post Case. That's from old school. As soon as you disengage back in the day, you get this buff, which removes all impairing effects, basically roots, any kind of snare, you remove it, and increases your speed by 60. Amazing ability, but now they linked it with Harpoon, which is pretty cool. So that's why you want to be walking into the fight. You don't want to be harpooning, because it's on a 20-second CD. Because a mage is going to immediately Nova you, and you're going to be rooted in place and slowed to infinity. So you don't want, definitely you want to save it, especially versus mages, boomkins, any kind of roots. You want to save this. You don't want to use it right away, but it's an amazing ability. Basically gives you freedom. Critical strikes reduce the remaining or reset the remaining cooldown of Harpoon. Harpooning more, but you're still gonna be slowed, and you're not gonna be critting because you cannot hit the target you're chasing. So I don't know how good this is. This increased duration of aspect of the cheetah by 3 seconds. 3 minutes CD. Why would I ever use that, Blizzard? Why? Increases by 3 seconds? 3 minutes CD? Sad, Blizzard. Sad. I'm disappointed. Anyway, let's move on to the next tier. Cold traps. This is pretty cool ability. So basically, your dart trap, which is this, usually slows all the targets, but now it does bleed damage and it reduces their movement by 70% for 6 seconds. Paired up with expert trapper, which is here, increase cold trap damage by 50% if you have more than 5 targets. For example, I have the storm in the middle. When you have a lot of people grouped up in a small space, this is gonna be your top damage. I was very surprised when I saw that. I was testing it, checking the different abilities, and this was amazing. But it's very situational, and you're not gonna be using it all the time. So it does have maps that is gonna be super good, and it's gonna be very annoying for the other team to deal with it because it's a bleed and 70% slow for 6 seconds, and it's on a 12-second CD. So basically, you can do it one after the other. Anyway, let's move on to the next one. This is the cooldown of your freezing trap and cooldown of your explosive and entire traps by 50%, which is pretty cool ability because you're gonna be using explosive trap and freezing trap all the time. ICC in BGs, and explosive trap is one of the the burst ability you're gonna be using every single time of a cooldown. So that's overall that's the best talent you can take at this tier. I believe so. Steel trap, it isn't bad, but it's on a 48 second it says, but when you spec out of it, it's a 1 minute CD or something, and it doesn't do that much damage. It doesn't do. Plus, you can miss it. You can make sure you don't miss it by netting the target, basically. Oops, netting the target and then throwing the trap like this, But you can miss it basically. They can get out of it. I mean, I don't know. I'm not happy with a minute cooldown on steel trap. It was like 30, 35, 40 seconds. 40 seconds is a bit much. 30 seconds, it was gonna be good. But this, not really. No, I don't like it. Sticky bomb, never use it. That's it. I tried knocking people back in out of the storm. It don't work for some reason. You couldn't knock them back. It procs, it doesn't do anything. It's terrible. Just I don't know. Sad. Anyway, Ranger's Nest, like I said, pretty annoying ability if you're going versus a survival hunter versus any kind of melee. You're gonna be annoyed by this ability a lot. I root them one after the other and trap them off the Ranger's Net as well. It's a pretty wombo combo right here. Net and then trap. It works perfect. Camouflage is not too bad, but minute CD heals you for nothing, and camouflage breaks on every single thing. If you dot it, any kind of magic effect breaks the camouflage pretty much right away. So you gotta be in the perfect situation to use this sad heal, which is extremely sad. I tested it, pretty sad heal. So these two, this tier is not that great. Let's go into tier 90. This replaces Carve, which is called Butchery. Basically increases the damage that Carve does. Not bad, but you don't use Carve that much at all. So, and the next one is way better. Dragon's Fire Grenade insane damage in slow spreads, like amazing ability. Test it out, check it out what it does exactly, practice with it. It's amazing. The only thing that's gonna beat Dragon's Fire Grenade is if basically this ability, if you're in a sustained fight, basically you can stay in the fight forever without dying, basically in probably like rated battlegrounds RPGs, when you have a healer that knows what they're doing and they can heal you and you're in the middle of fighting. So basically a lot of things gotta meet for this to be Dragon's Fire Grenade. There's gotta be more than 5 people. You gotta be able to sustain, basically be in the fight for a long periods of time, and this is gonna probably pass Dragon's Fire Grenade in terms of damage, because we'll be spreading this dot with carve to everybody for nature damage over 15 seconds. It's not a lot of damage, but when you spread it to multiple targets that are stacked in a small area, it's gonna be pretty cool. Spitting Cobra, no, you don't need the focus either that much. It's sad ability that I don't know why is it even in the game. Expert Trapper, it's awesome. Like I said, first it makes your cold traps, like we talked about, do more damage if you spec into it in the right scenario. Makes your steel trap does more damage if you want to spec into steel trap and test it out. Enemies moving through that trap have a chance to be ruled in place for 4 seconds, so it's super annoying, and I love that about hunters, that they're always super annoying to deal with and they can kite you forever. And then it makes the most important one is Explosive Trap. To the target that triggers the Explosive Trap deals 75% more damage, which puts Explosive Trap in a very high place in terms of damage, 4th or 5th depending on how much times you can pull it off. It's pretty cool. And the most important one, Freezing Trap. When it ends, the movement speed of the victim is reduced by 40%. For example, when you're in arena and you trap a healer behind a pillar or something, and he's he's away from his team, line of sighting them, you put that on 5 seconds, and then you have a 50% slow for 4 seconds, so it's going to be very hard for him to catch up to heal them even afterwards, after the trap, if your team doesn't follow up with anything else. Now if you have any questions, let me know. I'm gonna try and answer everything. That is my first video, so bear with me, bear with my accent, but let's go into honor talents. So medallion, unless you're for a human, I'll recommend probably Relentless if you're melee, especially because you're gonna be taking a lot of crowd controls. So that reduced by 25% is pretty cool. And you have, because you're human, you're gonna have a trinket anyway, which is every man for himself. I'm gonna show you this right here. Basically, that's, well, I'm not human, so, but War of the Forsaken does kind of the same thing, but for a different. For example, human is for stunts. This is for fear, charm, and sleep, which is pretty cool. But it does the same thing. Basically, you have a trinket, and you can have double trinkets with Great Medallion. One trinket getting rid of everything, and one trinket just for fears, if you have an extra fear, and that kind of stuff. But if you're human, I do recommend, or undead even, I do recommend Relentless probably. Just I'm getting used to that. I've been speccing to Honor Medallion because I've been getting used to all the new CC and new abilities people have. But I think for arena I might, or even rated battlegrounds. So battlegrounds said, oh, I'm gonna be just relentless and just be in the fight all the time. Increase my sustain me stay in the fight as much as I can. So let's go to the second tier. It's quick shots. It gives you haste. Basically your haste gives you global cooldown is reduced, so you spam the abilities faster, you get more focus, and I believe, I'm not sure, don't quote me on this 100%, but I think your haste increases your pet haste, which in turn increases your mastery, because as much as if the pet is hitting more, it gives you more procs. That way you're gonna have more mongoose bites to work with. And I really don't like this tier for well, they put it on everything now, but so basically above 80%, your critical strike chance increased by 30%. In arena, it fluctuates. It's nice for bursting. If you're playing burst comp, you can use this, but it's very situational. It's if you're playing extremely high burst, but if they recover and they're topped off, this talent is 50-50. It's not too bad, but the next one, it's extremely bad. Damage increased by 15%, which is cool, but you being attacked. So if anybody attacks you, this damage buff drops. In a BG's arena, you're always attacked. You're a melee character. Why would you have this talent, Blizzard? I don't get it. Anyway, so never this one. This if you're playing high burst. This if you're playing sustain, which I think you should be playing as a hunter, because you need a little bit of time to build up your rotation and combo going. Now this thing is pretty cool. Magic effects, damage over time effects do 20% less damage, and since back in the day, affliction locks and any kind of damage over time effects was the bane of hunters. That was the only thing we kind of lost to on a regular basis, is damage over time effect, because we don't have a lot of healing. We never had a lot of healing, and damage over time goes through deterrence back in the day. And this is pretty cool. Use it versus any kind of luck, even fire mage maybe. Now this is also pretty cool versus a melee. So critical melee strikes grant you 30% dodge for 4 seconds. Since you're gonna be spamming, you're gonna have this probably up, I would say like 20-30% of the time, 40% probably, hopefully. I mean, I haven't tested this one too much, but I don't think you can sustain it, but it's only for melee attacks, so, and they give you dodge. It's pretty cool. And this one is pretty cool if you can get used to it. Feign Death removes harmful magic effects and reduces damage taken by 99% for 1.5 seconds. Since your Feign Death is on, I believe, 30 second cooldown, it's not bad if you can get used to it. Basically, you get dotted by affliction lock, for example. You can drop all his dots and reduce the damage, the incoming damage, if he's spamming something else. For example, UA or stable affliction, if he's spamming it on you or something like that. It's pretty cool. But versus a sustain character, this is kind of useless, because 2 seconds is nothing. They're just sustained. For example, if I get you, if you're playing against outlaw rogue, I know that this is going to be useless, because they do have a burst, but they're pretty much a sustained character, so they do a lot of damage all the time. So this gonna be Next tier is pretty interesting, because this is where it gets interesting. So like I said, you're gonna be using your rapid strike just to get a buff or a debuff on the target. And one of the debuffs is, so the debuff is going to be reduce healing by 30% for 12 seconds. Physical, reduce their physical critical strike chance by 50 for 6 seconds. And then the last one is pretty cool, which called Spider Sting, which causes the next offensive. So if it's a healing spell, you're not going to be silencing it, but if it's a harmful spell, you're gonna silence it for 4 seconds. So this versus most casters is gonna be extremely annoying, but it is a 1 minute CD, so but it's a CC, so I kinda like it. But these two are not bad either. So you're if you're having, for example, problem versus a melee character, you spec into this, you Raptor Strike every 6 seconds, for example, and reduces their physical critical strike chance by 50. For example, warriors are gonna hate this ability. The next one, it's kinda useless. Reduce the cooldown of Aspect of the Cheetah by 50. Yeah, from 10 minutes, what? Minute and a half. With silence, maybe 1.2 or 3 seconds. I mean, minutes. Yeah, it's okay, I guess. And also gives increased movement speed. Mending Bandage. I tested this ability. It is awful. Basically bandages, but if you have any kind of dot, which now everybody in there, like everybody has some kind of dot, bleed, damage over time, something. For example, Demonology locks have 30 pets, same thing as BM Hunters, Beast Mastery Hunters. They have like 30 pets. So if you have anything damaging you during that time, you cannot bandage. So useless ability. It is very situational. If you have a healer that dispels you, you don't have any dots or pets on you, you can bandage yourself. I prefer this. Old School Master Call removes all roots, which gives you another escape, so you can safely harpoon into the fight. And then if they CC you somehow, root you, Ice Nova, whatever, back in the day, Master Skull removes it for you on a 45-second cooldown. And you can use it on friendlies, I believe, as well. And one thing I forgot to cover when we were on that topic, that's your pet Roar Sacrifice, which is this in Master Skulls is your, that's why you have a pet, is because you want to use this. And especially Cunning gives you this ability, which is basically making for example, let's say somebody, it doesn't matter actually, Fire Mage, Rogue, whatever, unable to critically strike you for 12 seconds, which is kind of nuts considering Fire Mages can pretty much do that all the time, and you reduce it for 12 seconds, gives you a pretty huge window to be healed back to full. My favorite ability, and Master Skull as well, two of my favorite abilities as a hunter. You can get out of a lot of situations using those two. So let's go to the next tier. Sticky Trap. Enemies who stand in your tar trap had the gear coated, slowing their melee attack speed by 50% for 5 seconds, which is pretty cool. Basically, if you have a rogue or something, even a warrior, this is going to be pretty cool because you're going to be slowing the attack speed by 50, and your cooldown of your tar trap is 12 seconds. So that's 5 seconds, 12 seconds. You're gonna pretty much have it all the time, or 50% of the time. You're gonna have them reduce movement attack speed. So you can save your heals pretty much by raptor striking and tar trapping. You can be pretty annoying to any kind of melee. Diamond Ice, which is my favorite. The target in your trap cannot be healed or damaged. And your trap is also undispellable for 5-second duration. Awesome. I like that a lot. This is probably my go-to ability. Diamond Ice. And this one is kinda iffy. Hero net rooting them for 6 seconds while within the net. The target chance to hit is reduced by 80%. Any damage will break the net. Basically, if you're playing against a hunter or something, if he doesn't have any escape, you can stop their damage. But like I said, you have Master Skull, you have Pulse Haze as a hunter. For example, if you're trying to root Pharaoh, you cannot, because you can escape, you can shapeshift out of your roots. So that is kind of useless ability in my opinion. The other two are pretty good. For example, you want to stop probably the damage or CC the heals or whatever. It's way better. You can use it in any kind of situation. And to finish this guide off, let's go into the artifact weapon, which I'm gonna show you right here because it's pretty important. I think they put every kind of how do you open this? Okay, here we go. They put a lot of the little things, or the little like I say, like they put the creative parts of Legion into the artifact, because it's pretty straightforward otherwise, but the artifact makes it a little bit more complicated and interesting, the playstyle I mean. So let's give it a shot. Let's start with the Fury of the Ego. You already know, stack Mongoose Fury by Mongoose Biting. The Mongoose Fury is the buff, 6 times Fury of the Ego, big damage. Next, increase physical damage you deal by 8%. Awesome. This you can pick up pretty much all the time, because all your damage is mostly physical, because all your damage comes from Mongoose Biting, which is physical. Right here, physical damage. This one, Carve, increase damage for each additional target hit. You don't need that. You're not gonna be carving that much. Don't need. This one you do need though. Increase Mongoose damage dealt by 10%. Awesome. So these two are pretty good. Increase critical chances of flanking strike by 10%. Like I said, flank strike does not do that much damage. It's not bad to have, but it's not necessary either. This one is pretty cool. The remaining cooldown of harpoon is reset if you kill an enemy. If you're in BG, you keep harpooning. It's pretty cool playstyle. It's pretty fun. Increase damage dealt by Raptor Strike. Like I said, you're gonna be using it probably every 6 seconds, 8 seconds, something like that. Not really needed at all. This one, although you kinda need. Increase explosive trap damage by 10%. One of your staple kind of like damage dealing abilities. Like I said, it's gonna be 4th or 5th in the damage scale. It's pretty cool. Aspect of the Ego increases all damage you deal by 30% for its duration. Your burst comes from Aspect of the Ego. Build up your mongooses, you know, so you can stack up to 6. During that time, you have 30%. Pretty good. Let's go to the next one. Reduces the cooldown of your traps by 20%. I pretty much like that. It's pretty awesome. You're gonna be trapping a lot, hopefully. So when you get used to trapping, you're gonna be trapping a lot. This reduces by 20%. Pretty good ability. Lacerate is gonna be first or second in damage, depending. Like I said, if the target is running away from you, Lacerate is gonna be the top damage. If they're stationary, Mongoose and then Lacerate is gonna be second in damage. So this is pretty necessary. This is pretty cool. Eagle's Bite. So Harpoon applies on the tail unique damage overtime effect that deals damage, not a lot, but your melee auto attacks extend duration. If you can keep up with the target, it's not a dot. Why not? Not a bleed. Pretty cool. Let's see this one. Increases your pet haste. I think this is pretty cool because, like I said, your mastery is connected to how many strikes the pet is gonna deal to the target. So you wanna be first. You wanna have your pet on the target all the time, and I'm gonna show you some macros during the tips and tricks section of this guide. How we're gonna macro that so you have it all the time on the target you're DPSing. So increases your pet haste by 15%. It's pretty cool. It's always welcome. This is pretty cool as well. Most of the healing, well, actually all the healing comes from exhilaration, if I'm pronouncing this correctly. So reduces the melee cooldown, but each time you kill an enemy. In arena it's not going to be useful at all because you're not going to be killing. If you kill, you already won. So most of the time, actually. But in BGs, this is pretty cool. It's going to give you some sustain, which I pretty much like. Reduce the cooldown of aspects. So all the aspects. So aspect of the turtle, which is your super huge defensive cooldown. Aspect of the eagle, which is your super big damage cooldown. 30% increase, plus Mongoose Bites, plus crit or something, was it? Yeah, 10% crit as well, pretty huge. And aspect of the cheetah, which is your running stuff. So that's why it's on 2.4 or something. What is it? 2.4 minute cooldown. It's not bad, but it's pretty good talent. It's not bad. Now this one is probably the one I hate the most so far in Legion. Is Raptor Strike heals you for 10% of the damage it deals. Like I said, I never use Raptor Strike. You don't use it that much. Every 8 seconds, if you can, every 6 seconds, 10 seconds, whatever. It does very little damage by itself. It does very little damage. 10% of that is gonna heal you. It's nothing. They should have put it on Flanking Strike. Not a bad spell to have it on. You have increased critical strike chance, which means more damage. 10% of that is gonna be the heal. Awesome. Why have it on Raptor Strike? I have no clue. It's horrible design. This ability should not exist at all. And I don't mean Raptor Strike, I just mean the healing. This talent over here should not exist. Anyway, you should put it in on Lacerate somehow. I guess 30% of the damage over time heals you as well, something. So you have a sustained heal. Or Flanking Strike. It's gonna be way better than this. Way better. Anyway, let's go to the last one, which is your basic attacks have a chance to trigger 2 rapid additional blows. So basically more strikes. It's not too bad, but it's not something very serious. So the main ones you want: all your physical damage increased by 8%. Awesome. Your number 1 damage increased by 10%. Awesome. Lacerate increased by 10%. Awesome. And then what was the other one? The cooldown. Awesome. Your artifact ability spell stuff pretty cool. And aspect of the ego gives you 30% chance. With this ability, reduces the cooldown as well. Pretty cool stuff. It's not a bad artifact. And what I meant before is how they kind of put like all the neat stuff, the interesting stuff in the artifact weapon. Yeah, how like aspect of the ego gives you 30% damage, reduces the cooldown of hook, so that changes your playstyle. You can hook more often in certain situations. Gives you reduced chance, like reduce cooldown of your traps, and all this different stuff. And it's different for every single spec. So they basically took all the interesting stuff and they put it in the artifact, which I don't mind too much. Just people are not gonna see until they get the artifact, so it's gonna be kind of awkward. Anyway, let's show you some abilities before we actually finish the show. So harpoon, lacerate, flanking strike for the buff, and then spam mongoose bite. You're gonna see my focus. It's about 100%. Right away goes to 50. Lacerate to keep up the buff, and you use the trap on a CD. Now your burst is you're just gonna pop. Oh yeah, I was gonna show you the macros as well. So one of the macros is your burst. Let me show you a macro. So that's the burst macro. Aspect of the ego, snake hunter. Basically, when you pop aspect of the ego, you want to have 1 or 0 charges of mongoose bite left. You pop aspect of the ego with this macro with snake hunter, which gives you immediately 3. So you have 3 stacks of the buff mongoose fury, and then immediately you follow up with another 3, which gives you 6, and then you fury of the ego, which is your artifact weapon, into Dragon's Fire Grenade. Big damage, and that's gonna be during that time is gonna build you even more stacks, so you can keep going after that with mongoose bites and stuff. I might be separating those if I wanna go too much into it. I might be separating and then maybe pressing first snake hunter to give me the things, stack it up to 6 aspects of the your artifact weapon, fury of the ego, and then your aspect, because you're gonna be out of charges by that time. Then your aspect, and I think that's how I'm gonna do it later on, but for now I'm gonna keep it like that. That's my Ross talent, basically macro, which is I can cast basically add player, which casts raw sacrifice on me. But you need a macro because this is your pet's ability, so it's in your pet's spellbook, and you cannot just put it on your bars. You gotta macro it so you can put it on your bars. But basically you can macro it as well to put it on party 1, party 2, or just put the name of the player you want to put it on. So by basically your 2/3 partner that you want to raw sacrifice. For example, if a warrior or something is going on your killer, you raw sacrifice them and you reduce all the critical strike they do. Basically they do no critical strikes for 12 seconds. It's pretty cool. I put this one, which is pretty important. Basically this is my focus root macro, because I want to root my focus without targeting it, so I can basically root and then trap off that. It's pretty cool. But I'm gonna make another video, and I'm hoping to get requests from you guys if you wanna see how I'm trapping, different tactics I'm using in battlegrounds and stuff like that. And I'm gonna do another video with the gameplay, hopefully, that I'm gonna be showing you different tricks you can use as well. And I want to finish with this. It's a little bit off how the survival hunter plays with their pets. Basically what I mean play is when you harpoon, depending on where you're at. For example, if your target is a level above you, you can harpoon to them, which is pretty cool, but it takes a while until your pet gets there, unless you have it macroed. So basically you want to have harpoon and then just macro with pet attack. I'm gonna show you how. Let's do it actually right now. So you want to have new harpoon. I call it hook. I don't know why. Call it hook. Let's call it harpoon. Harpoon, which is pretty long, so that's why I call it hook. But anyway, so cast, so pet attack, cast harpoon. And if you want to go way into it, you can have it have a focus macro as well. So when you press shift, you harpoon to your focus target, so you could probably harpoon interrupt or something if you want to get too much into it, but that's way advanced, I believe, because it takes a while for harpoon to activate and for you to get there. You don't teleport, so for you to interrupt a spell is gonna be kind of hard unless they're pretty close. But anyway, that's what I wanted to finish up. So you want to have pet attack on harpoon, so as soon as you want to harpoon and you press it, your pet is already going to that target. And then you want to have macro for mongoose bite as well. So basically your main damage ability, you always want to have your pet DPSing the same target you are with your hardest hitting ability for any kind of spec. Probably with a few cases that is not true. For example, if you want to separate a little bit, or you want your pet to cast something, but that's way too advanced. That means you have to control your pet as well. It's too advanced. I never use it as well, just too much of a hassle. Just have your pet attack macro to the biggest ability you have, so that way you ensure that the target you're attacking, your pet is attacking as well, because the pet does, I believe, around 13 to 15% of your damage. I think depends on the uptime, of course, on the pet, but that's how much damage it does. So you're gonna be missing that if your pet is attacking a target. So basically I wanted to finish on that note. I think I covered a lot of stuff, and there is a lot of to cover in Legion. So if you have any question, guys, leave it in the comments below. I'm gonna put a link to everything: Twitch, Twitter, the site, whatever, my email, so you can contact me. But the best way is to just leave a comment. I'm gonna try and answer everything. And if you want to see something done, for example, the gameplay, other tips I have, more advanced stuff that I can show you, I'm gonna be doing a video on the add-ons I use in life, because this is the beta right now. I have totally different UI, which I can also do a video about, because it's, you pretty much want to have a similar UI as I do if you want a PvP. I'm gonna be doing a UI video, add-ons as well, that is gonna help you PvP, and keybinds, which is super important. So I'm gonna upcoming videos, at least 3 upcoming, and whatever you guys ask me to put as well, I'm gonna try and put up a video about that. So thank you for watching and enjoy.